afternoon. Okay. And all right. Close this window. I don't think I need the browser on. All right. Okay. Shalom, everyone. I'm Brother Doug, as always. Chag Simak, Festival of Unleavened Bread, everyone. For some of us, this is going to be starting, I believe, day 4 tonight of the Festival of Matzah. Some of us are starting our 3rd day, but I just want to say I hope everyone's having a great Festival of Unleavened Bread. Shabbat Shalom. And we're going to be doing our regular Shabbat day study. So I'm going to be starting off at Numbers 15 to 16. So let me just see here. Let me fix Brother Dennis's name tag here. All right, here we go. Let me actually get the word software up here because it'll be a lot easier to do a compare view. I'll close out my eSword here. All right. And just bear with me, guys. Okay. All righty then. So Numbers chapter 15. Okay. Numbers 15 to 16. And what I'll do here is so we get Septuagint there with the LXXE. I think I'll use the ESV for the Masoretic and Samaritan Pentateuch. All right, there we go. Okay, so here we go. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe. Oh, my bad. Whoops, God jumped to chapter 15 here. All right. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Yasharal, and you shall say to them, when you are come into the land of your habitation, which I give you, you will offer whole burnt offerings to Yahuwah, a whole burnt offering or grain offering to perform a vow, or a freewill offering, or to offer in your feasts a sacrifice of sweet savor to Yahuwah, whether of the herd or of the flock. Making a little note here. So there's even offerings when giving a vow. Okay. Yeah, I believe that's verse 3 there. Okay, so let's see. Whether of the flock or the herd. Now that's interesting. The ESV leaves that out. Let's see something real quick. I wonder if the Masoretic leaves that out, whether of the flock or the herd. Just want to look something up real quick before we move on. Okay, that's an issue with the ESV. Okay. For some reason, the ESV leaves that out.
Does the ESV pull from the Westcott Hort?
The New Testament, yes. I don't know where they're getting the idea to leave out that in the Tanakh.
Oh yeah.
I don't know. It's there in the King James. Yeah, ESV is just screwing up there. They're kind of pulling up ISR there. Why would they leave that out? I don't understand that. But when it's there in the Masoretic Hebrew, I don't get that. But anyway. Then he that offers his gift to Yahuwah shall bring a meat offering of fine flour. So that's how we know a meat offering is a grain offering right there. A 10th part of an ephah mingled with oil, even with 4th part of hin. And for a drink offering, you shall offer the 4th part of a hin on the whole burnt offering or on the grain offering. For every lamb you shall offer so much as a sacrifice of sweet smell savor to Yahuwah. Interesting. Huh. Wow, that's a lot to miss. That's a lot to leave out. So Numbers 15. Does Mom, your version of verse 6 there, does that have the second half of that verse? For every lamb you shall offer so much as a sacrifice, sweet smell of savor to Yahuwah. Is that second part of the verse there in your NIV?
Yeah.
Huh. Is it?
Say that again.
These there in verse 5. Is there a second paragraph in that particular verse that says, "For every lamb you shall offer, so as much as a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to Yahuwah"? Is that there?
No.
Interesting. So the Masoretic text leaves out half of the verse. So that's a pretty big deal because that's telling you who the sacrifice is being given to. So that's a pretty big deal there. Okay. And for a ram, when you offer it as a whole burnt offering or as a sacrifice, you shall prepare it as a grain offering 2/10 of fine flour mingled with oil, the third part of a hin. Okay. You shall offer for smell sweet savor to Yahuwah wine for a drink offering, the third part of a hin. And if you sacrifice from the herd for a whole burnt offering, for a sacrifice to perform a vow or a peace offering to Yahuwah, then shall offer upon the calf a grain offering, 3/10 deals of fine flour mingled with oil, a half of a hin, and wine for a drink offering, the half of a hin sacrifice for sweet of smell savor to Yahuwah. Thus it shall be, thus shall you do it to one calf, or to the ram, or to one lamb of the sheep, or the kid of the goats, according to the number of what you shall offer. So shall you do to each one, according to their number. Okay, I'm just gonna check something again, man. I'm gonna have to email the ESV people, man. I'm not liking the fact that they're taking stuff out of there that should not be out of there. All right, so this is another problem here. Verse 12. Why are they missing that? This is in almost every other version, according to each of their number. That should be there. Why? Oh, I see. My bad, guys. That's a false alarm. So what they did, they paraphrased it a little too much there. Okay, so they said, according to as many as there are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what happens when you paraphrase it too much. It almost looks like you're leaving something out. Every native of the country shall do thus to offer such things as sacrifice for a smell of sweet savor to Yahuwah. The stranger is under the same law. And if there should be a stranger among you in your land, or one who should be born to you among your generations. Notice how the Septuagint makes it clear it's talking about someone who's grafted in. It says among you, among your generations. So that would be among your households, okay? And he will offer a sacrifice, a smell of sweet savor to Yahuwah. As you do so, the congregation shall offer to Yahuwah. Now that's key to understand that it's not talking about a random Gentile, okay? A random Gentile is not even allowed to go into the temple. A random Gentile cannot even give you an animal for sacrifice. So obviously it's talking about someone who has already been grafted in and came into covenant. So always pay attention to the phrase among you, okay? That's talking about a specific stranger who has joined himself to Yahuwah and to Israel. It's not a regular stranger. So just want to make a distinction there. Okay. For the assembly, there shall be one statute. Notice how it says for the assembly, same context. Okay. So that stranger is considered part of the body of Messiah. There shall be one law for you and for the strangers abiding among you, a perpetual law as you, so shall the stranger be before you. Who again, that stranger is not a regular Gentile. It is part of Israel. There shall be one law and one ordinance for you and for the stranger that abides among you. So I'm not a fan of the way they paraphrase it with you, because then it just makes it look like any type of stranger is supposed to keep the law. So anyway, that's why I like the Septuagint. It makes it more specific. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, we're at Numbers 15:18. Speak to the sons of Yashel, and you shall say to them, when you are entering into the land into which I bring you, then it shall come to pass, when you shall eat of the bread of the land, you shall separate a wave offering, a special offering to Yahuwah, first fruits of your dough. Now, again, this goes back to the time of year we're at right now, okay? For some of us, yesterday was the day of the wave offering, right? So Numbers 15:19 references back to the same context as Leviticus 23:11 and verse 15 of that same chapter. Now, according to the Septuagint and according to the Targums, that day would be the 16th of Abib, is when you're lifting the wave offering. And that's the day you start your count. So anyway, but we are going to do a full study. I think it's needed from the body of Messiah right now. I think there's a major, huge deception about the day that we're supposed to actually start our 50-day count on. So please stay tuned, everyone. We are going to do that eventually. So anyway, verse 20, you shall offer your bread a heave offering as a heave offering from the threshing floor, so shall you separate it. Even the first fruits of your dough, and you shall give Yahuwah a heave offering throughout your generations.
Brother Doug, are you referring to counting after the unleavened bread, or are you referring to counting
the counting to Shavuot, according to the Septuagint and the Targums, point to the Sabbath that's being talked about as the high Sabbath. So you would do your count the day after the high Sabbath, which is the 16th of Abib. So you're counting from the 16th of Abib, 50 days to Pentecost, basically. And that's
that would be today. That would be today for me, right? Because
for you, you should start your count today. Yeah. Yeah. For me and Joshua, I think we had to start it. I think it would have been last night, the start of the weekly Sabbath last night. We would have had to start it because we had ours. We had our Passover on the 4th.
A day ahead of us. Yeah, just a day.
So basically what I'm referring to is what I'm talking about. We're going to do a full-on study about that and why we don't count after the weekly Sabbath, like the majority of Yashrael is doing right now, and why there's a huge, historically, there's even a debate between what the Pharisees did and the Sadducees, and they're even back then, not everyone was on the same page. The Sadducees did what people are doing now traditionally. Surprisingly enough, the Pharisees had it right. They did it on the 16th. So, there's a huge, big debate about that, and historically, and why there's such a misunderstanding is because it generally just says after the Sabbath. So it doesn't tell you which Sabbath. So there's a big, huge misunderstanding about that. But we're eventually going to do a study, full-length, in-depth study on why we do it after the high Sabbath instead of waiting for the weekly Sabbath of this week to start it on Sunday, which is the traditional belief that people have, which actually seems to start from the Sadducees, believe it or not. So anyway, let's see here. We're at verse, I believe, 22, Mom?
Mm-hmm.
But whensoever you shall transgress and not perform all these commands which Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, as Yahuwah appointed you by the hand of Moshe, from the day which Yahuwah appointed you and forward throughout your generations, then it shall come to pass, if a trespass be committed unwillingly, unknown to the congregation, then shall all the congregation offer a calf of a herd without blemish for a whole burnt offering, sweet savor to Yahuwah. And So a burnt offering, sweet savor to Yahuwah, and its grain offering and its drink offering according to the ordinance, and 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering. And the priest shall make atonement for all the congregation of the children of Yashrael, and shall be forgiven them, because it is involuntary, and they have brought their gift, a burnt offering, to Yahuwah for their trespass before Yahuwah, even for their involuntary sins. Okay, and it shall be forgiven as respects all the congregation of the children of Yashrael, and the stranger that is abiding among you, because involuntary to all the people. So again, you're going to see, that's why I'm really a big fan of among you versus sojourns with you, because there's the meaning's a lot different. Just two words like that have two completely different meanings. So, and if a soul sins unwillingly, he shall bring 1 she-goat of a year old for sin offering. Okay, and the priest shall make atonement for the soul that commits the trespass unwillingly and that sins unwillingly before Yahuwah, to make atonement for him. Now, obviously, in the new covenant, Yahushua is our atonement. So obviously, that's why Paul in Hebrews says there was a change in the law. Because even though these sacrifices are not done away with, Yahushua is our atonement. Yahushua is what atoned for our sins in the new covenant. So there's going to be certain sacrifices, like I would assume sin sacrifices for atonement are not going to be in the millennium. They're not in the law anymore. There shall be 1 law for the native among the children of Yashrael, and for the stranger that abides among them, whosoever shall commit a trespass unwillingly. Okay, so, and whatever soul either of the natives or the strangers shall do anything with a presumptuous hand, he will provoke Alua, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. Okay. All right. For he has set at nothing the word of Yahuwah and broken his commands, that soul shall be utterly destroyed, his sin upon him. This is something I never noticed before, but it's actually referring to the word of Yahuwah as a person here. It says, for he has set nothing at the word of Yahuwah and broken his commands. That's kind of interesting, the way the Septuagint words it. It's kind of interesting. And shall be utterly destroyed. His sin will be upon him. He that violated the Sabbath is stoned. And the children of Yashrael were in the wilderness, and they found a man gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. And they too found him gathering sticks on the Sabbath day, brought him to Aaron. Now, this is another thing I've noticed with the Masoretic. In the next verse 33, it leaves out gathering sticks on the Sabbath day. For whatever reason, they felt not the need to leave that in a second time. I don't know if they thought it would be redundant, if the Masoretes thought it would be redundant, so they took that phrase out in verse 33. But you'll notice here it just says those who found him gathering sticks, and then it goes on to talk about bringing him to Moses. In the Septuagint, it says in this verse, and they who found him gathering sticks on the Sabbath day brought him. So maybe they thought it was redundant, or I don't know. Mom, does yours have it in both times? Okay. So the NIV then is using the Septuagint then.
They very often go back to the Septuagint.
So I'm going to make a little note here. NIV in Numbers 15:33 uses LXX over Masoretic text. It's just a shame they don't do it all the time.
Yeah.
Because there's certain verses that are even more important than this that they use the Masoretic for. And they placed him in custody, for they did not determine what they should do to him. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, the man by all means shall be put to death. All the congregation stoned him with stones. And all the congregation brought him forth out of the camp, and all the congregation stoned him with stones outside the camp, as Yahuwah commanded Moshe. Now, before we finish the chapter here, I do want to make a little note here because I've heard this from family members that are Christians, and I hear it from other Christians. They'll say to me, stoning came from Moses, not Yahuwah. Really? Really? So what's this verse here? Moses is not saying it.
Yeah.
Yahuwah is telling Moses to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Moses didn't create stoning, so we got to be careful what we say and stuff like that, because every idle word, guys, every idle word, you start saying, "Oh, Moses created stoning." Okay, I'm about to step back about 1,000 feet away on Judgment Day. I'm not. Hey, the word says what it says. So Yahuwah gave stoning, and if Yahusha's Yahuwah, he's not going to do away with something he gave. So a lot of people misunderstand. You know, a lot of people misunderstand Yahusha and his character. He didn't do away with stoning. Okay, he was giving mercy. He didn't do away with that law. There's going to be stoning in the millennium. You can believe that. There's going to be a lot of witches that are going to get stoned. There's going to be a lot of Wiccans that are going to get stoned. A lot of evil people are going to get stoned in the millennium. So, yeah. And all the congregation brought him forth out of the camp, and all the congregation stoned him with stones outside the camp, as Yahuwah commanded Moshe. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, speak to the children of Yashua, and you shall tell them, let them make for themselves fringes or tassels upon the borders of their garments throughout their generations, and you shall put them upon the fringes of the borders a lace of blue. And it shall be on your fringes, and you shall look on them, and you shall remember all the commands of Yahuwah and do them, and you shall not turn back after your imaginations and after eyes in the things after which you go whoring. Now, basically, I mean, we could kind of interpret that as vain imaginations in general, like sinful thoughts. But I kind of wonder if that's, Mom, a Hebrew idiom for idols. Because you notice that, like, in certain Bibles, wherever it says carved images or idols, it'll just say vain things. So I kind of wonder if that's an idiom that we don't realize, that he's actually talking about a specific vain thing, like, you know, idolatry and all that. That you may remember and perform all my commands, and you shall be set apart unto your Alua. I, Yahuwah, your Alua, that brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your Alua. I, Yahuwah, your Alua. So again, very self-explanatory. So, you know, we got towards the end, we got the commandment of tassels. What I know some people might be asking themselves, Doug, what are tassels? Let me just show you a couple visual aids here that I have on hand. I was inspired because I really always like the colors, the color combinations of like the Charlotte Hornets. So I personally have like purple, what is this, Mom? With the teal green, purple, and deep sea blue as the lace of blue. So I do different combinations, guys, but it doesn't have to be a specific combination. The point is that we're commanded to have a lace of blue on them. So I know the some of the Orthodox Jewish people, they don't even have a lace of blue. They'll just, you know, rip their shirt on the four sides or whatever. But realistically, this is what a tassel would be. Okay, this is realistically what a tassel would be like. So anyway, also I know that the Native American version, probably if the legends about Gad coming to America and the tribe of Gad being one of the native tribes, they would have probably wore their tassels on the bottom of their shirt, almost as like a Native American style throughout the whole bottom of the shirt as part of their shirt. So there's different styles and stuff like that, but that's what Yahuwah is talking about. Anyway, but so just to explain what fringes are and what tassels, what tzitzis are. So just to explain that for those that might not know about that. So, but anyway, the main thing I wanted to say is, you know, not going on a rabbit trail here, but it doesn't really matter the color combination as long as you have a lace of blue, at least one cord of blue on your tassel. So, and it has to be on the four sides of your garment. So if you're doing the tassels like me, you would have to have one strand, one lace of blue per tassel on the four corners. So anyway, so Mom, would you like to read chapter 16?
Okay. Mhm.
Brother Doug,
Yeah.
that it has to be only white and blue for the tassels? I don't recall.
No. That's kind of what you're asking. Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to explain, is that there's no exact commanded color combination. Like, it doesn't have to be white. The reason the Jewish people do that is more of tradition because of their flag. Their flag is white and blue, and they believe the colors of Israel are white and blue. The blue.
Doesn't scripture say blue and white only?
No, they don't. It says a lace of blue. That's all it says. It says a cord of blue. It does not. Yahuwah is not specific about what colors that would have been with the one lace of blue on each tassel. There's no command. That's tradition. That's. And I'm not saying it's a bad tradition. I'm just saying it's not commanded that it has to be white and blue. The Jewish people today probably do it, like I said, because of their flag. It's tradition. It's, that's the colors of the flag of Israel. They probably believe there's some rabbinical tradition, probably that white and blue together has always been their colors. But if you even look at the tabernacle, the tabernacle had all different colors. So when you look at the one lace of blue, sometimes my tradition I do sometimes when I make them, if I have all the colors ready, I'll make like the colors of the tabernacle. And then, obviously the lace of blue is already included with the colors of the tabernacle. So you would have the one cord of blue and the rest with other colors. So yeah, there's many different variations you can do. Like I have all different types of variations, but the point is that the cord, there has to be at least one lace of blue, whatever colors you're going to use. So that's pretty much what the command was that we read about in Numbers 15. I think, what was it, Mom? Verses 37 all the way down.
Mhm.
So that's where you get that from. I think in Deuteronomy somewhere. It's somewhere. I would have to look at where again it's mentioned again. It might be Deuteronomy 14 or something. So where it talks about the four corners. But anyway, go ahead, Mom.
Okay. Korah, son of Itzhar, the son of Kohat, the son of Levi, and certain Reubenites, Dathan and Abiram, sons of Eliab and On, sons of Pelet, became insolent and rose up against Moshe. With them were 250 men of Israel, well-known community leaders who had been appointed members of the council. They came as a group to oppose Moshe and Aaron and said to them, "You have gone too far. The whole community is set apart, every one of them, and Yahuwah is with them. Why then do you set yourselves above Yahuwah's assembly?" When Moshe heard this, he fell face down. Then he said to Korah and all his followers, "In the morning, Yahuwah will show who belongs to him and who is set apart, and he will have that person come near him. The man he chooses will cause to come near him. You, Korah, and all your followers are to do this. Take censers and tomorrow put fire and incense in them before Yahuwah. The man that Yahuwah chooses will be the one who is set apart. You Levites have gone too far." Moshe also said to Korah, "Now listen, you Levites. Isn't it enough for you that the Elohim of Yashrael has separated you from the rest of the community of Israel and brought you near himself to do the work of Yahuwah's tabernacle and to stand before the community and minister to them? He has brought you and all your fellow Levites near himself, and now you are trying to get the priesthood too. It is against Yahuwah that you and all your followers have banded together. Who is Aaron that you should grumble against him?" Then Moshe summoned Dathan and Abiram, the sons of Eliab. But they said, we will not come. Isn't it enough that you have brought us up out of the land flowing with milk and honey to kill us in the desert? And now you also want to lord it over us. Moreover, you haven't brought us into a land flowing with milk and honey, or given us an inheritance of fields and vineyards. Will you gouge out the eyes of these men? No, we will not come. Then Moshe became very angry and said to Yahuwah, do not accept their offerings. I have not taken so much as a donkey from them, nor have I wronged any of them. Moshe said to Korah, you and all your followers are to appear before Yahuwah tomorrow, you and they and Aaron. Each man is to take this censer and put incense in it, 250 censers in all, and present it before Yahuwah. You and Aaron are to present your censers also. So each man took his censer, put fire and incense in it, and stood with Moshe and Aaron at the entrance of the tabernacle. When Korah had gathered all his followers in opposition to them at the entrance to the tent of meeting, the esteem of Yahuwah appeared to the entire assembly. Yahuwah said to Moshe and Aaron, separate yourselves from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once. But Moshe and Aaron fell face down and cried out, O Yahuwah, Elohim of the spirits of all mankind, will you be angry with the entire assembly when only one man sins? Then Yahuwah said to Moshe, say to the assembly, move away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Moshe got up and went to Dathan and Abiram, and the elders of Yashrael followed him. He warned the assembly, move back from the tents of these wicked men. Do not touch anything belonging to them, or you will be swept away because of all their sins. So they moved away from the tents of Korah, Dathan, and Abiram. Dathan and Abiram had come out and were standing with their wives, children, and little ones at the entrance to their tents. Then Moshe said, this is how you will know that Yahuwah has sent me to do all these things, and that it was not my idea. If these men die a natural death and experience only what usually happens to men, then Yahuwah has not sent me. But if Yahuwah brings about something totally new, and the earth opens its mouth and swallows them with everything that belongs to them, and they go down alive into Sheol, then you will know that these men have treated Yahuwah with contempt. As soon as he finished saying all this, the ground under them split apart, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed them with their households and all Korah's men and all their possessions. They went down alive into the grave with everything they owned. The earth closed over them, and they perished and were gone from the community. At their cries, all the children of Israel around them fled, shouting, the earth is going to swallow us too. And fire came out from Yahuwah and consumed the 250 men who were offering the incense. Yahuwah said to Moshe, tell Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, to take the censers out of the smoldering remains and scatter the coals some distance away, for the censers are set apart. The censers of the men who sinned at the cost of their lives hammer the censers into sheets to overlay the altar, for they were presented before Yahuwah and have become set apart. Let them be a sign to the children of Israel. So Eleazar the priest collected the bronze censers brought by those who had been burned up, and he had them hammered out to overlay the altar, as Yahuwah directed him through Moshe. This was to remind the children of Israel that no one except a descendant of Aaron should come to burn incense before Yahuwah, or he would become like Korah and his followers. The next day, the whole Israelite community grumbled against Moshe and Aaron. You have killed Yahuwah's people, they said. But when the assembly gathered in opposition to Moshe and Aaron and turned toward the tabernacle, and suddenly the cloud covered it, and the esteem of Yahuwah appeared. Then Moshe and Aaron went to the front of the tabernacle, and Yahuwah said to Moshe, get away from this assembly so I can put an end to them at once. And they fell face down. Then Moshe said to Aaron, take your censer and put incense in it, along with fire from the altar, and hurry to the assembly to make atonement for them. Wrath has come out from Yahuwah. The plague has started. So Aaron did as Moshe said and ran into the midst of the assembly. The plague had already started among the people, but Aaron offered the incense and made atonement for them. He stood between the living and the dead, and the plague stopped. But 14,700 people died from the plague, in addition to those who had died because of Korah. Then Aaron returned to Moshe at the entrance to the tabernacle, for the plague had stopped.
Interesting.
Could
So,
you please tell me what section she just read? I had someone unexpectedly come to my door. and I had to
oh,
get to-
my mom just read Numbers 16, the whole chapter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just trying to catch up here. I was making myself some instant coffee in the other room. Let me see here. So there's definitely some differences here I've noticed. Think when it's talking about the earth opened her mouth, the Septuagint actually iterates that they went alive into Sheol or Hades. So I found that interesting. So they're like alive, being swallowed up by the earth.
Yeah.
So there was a huge difference in verse 22, where it will just say in the Masoretic, it will say he's the Elohim of the spirits of flesh or something like that. In the Septuagint, it says though he's the Elohim of he's the Elua of all spirits and of all flesh.
Mhm.
So it's worded slightly different, showing that he's, all of all. Like he even the evil spirits have to obey him. Like he's the Elua over them. Even they can't, So that kind of exposes the whole mythology of Satan's the king of demons. And no, the demons even have to obey Yahuwah. They have no choice. And Satan does as well. If you understand who the destroyer of Exodus 12 is, even fallen Malachim have to obey Yahuwah and do what he tells them to do. So
Good.
yeah, it's a different idea than what we're taught in the church. And the idea of Satan's equal to him, he's his equal enemy, and the whole idea that you got him like arm wrestling with Yahusha in those pictures and all that nonsense. But anyway, go ahead, brother Yahusha. I see you got your hand up.
You have in the Exodus, when you have Aharon and his sons instituted into the or placed into the priesthood, you had them remember his two oldest sons offering up strange fire, doing it contrary to what Yahuwah had given But, you have them being fire of Yahuwah coming out and destroying them. And you see the same thing repeated right here, only you have these men that aren't even of the seed of Aaron. They're Levites, but they're not of the seed of you would think that they would remember what happened. Like, not only are they doing it, contrary to the way that it, yes, like, they were told to do it, but already after they had, their hearts had been set against Masha. Then you have them, the fire of Yahuwah coming out against them, and then he says, remove the strange fire from the, after they were destroyed, he took the strange fire. Where's it, that verse?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Scatter the strange fire yonder, for they have set apart the censers of these sinners against their own souls. Verse 37.
Yeah.
And then you have him having to repeat, like, again, like, after this command has already been given that this is only for the seed of Aaron. You have verse 40, a memorial to the children of Yasharal, that no stranger might draw near who is not of the seed of Aaron to offer incense before Yahuwah.
Yeah. And this kind of shows the whole, to me, to piggyback off of your point, what this shows to me is there's not equality in Israel. Aaron has a position of authority. Masha has as a position of authority. And why did these guys sin? Because they didn't like that. Because their flesh came out. Oh, we don't want to be under you. Even though they did not appoint themselves. Yahuwah appointed them over these people. So what you're doing is, and Aaron kept saying it to them, you're not striving against us, but against Yahuwah. You're like, you think you're picking a fight against us. You're picking a fight against the Creator. Because you're going against his anointing, okay? Right. Same thing why Daud, trust me, Daud would have been, in our own mind, would have been justified to kill Shaul. So many times he had the opportunity. What did he do? He refrained from it, took a step back, was like, well, I'm not going to put my hand on his anointed. Because Shaul, even as wicked as he became, he originally was anointed by Yahuwah in that time period as the king. And Daud was smart. He was wise. He was like, David was wise. He was like, nah, I'm not about to kill someone Yahuwah has anointed. So that's what we got to understand too, is that this is a very true lesson about understanding Yahuwah's authority and understanding that Israel, even Israel, not everyone's equal in Israel. Okay. And it's not unrighteous. Equality is not a biblical concept. And that's something that we have to wrestle with in our flesh, because we were raised to think everyone's equal, all humans are created equal, and this and that. But even in Yahuwah's kingdom, we're not going to be equal. There's going to be some people through their lifetime that were more obedient to him will be given higher positions in the kingdom. There's greater and least in the kingdom. So this is something we need to unlearn from the world, that Christianity's tried to take a worldly philosophy and inject it into the Bible. That's what's happened. Like, essentially, that's what's happened. And that's why they mess up the understanding of divorce and remarriage. That's why the church doesn't understand that. That's why they don't understand anything about the Torah. They're taking stuff from the world and they're trying to put it into the Bible. And it's kind of funny, even people of that own religion in the 1800s warned people that if you keep catering to the world, you're going to become like the world. And for the most part, that's what the church has done, is taking concepts from the world and try to blend it with the Bible. Another example, evolution. I'm sorry, guys. Evolution does not blend with the Bible. You can't say, oh, Yahuwah used evolution. No, he didn't. He didn't. Say, it's either you believe in 6 literal days or you believe in evolution. You got to reject the Bible. There's no have your cake and eat it too. They don't blend together. They don't. Okay. So this is something we need to unlearn. We cannot use secularism and philosophy and insert it into the Bible. This is why Paul warns us of this. He says, do not let anyone spoil you through philosophy. Okay. This is why Paul says this. This is why Paul talks about fake science when he writes to Timothy. Okay. This is why he's warning us about these things. So on a whole, but we have to understand those type of concepts are not biblical. And that includes equality is not biblical. Okay. So the moment sin went into the world, equality between men and women went. That was it. That at that point you have Kua being told by Yahuwah, your husband's going to rule over you right there. That's the throwing away of equality right there from the beginning. So this is important to understand that concept, because even within the kingdom, there's not going to be equality, let alone man or woman. In the kingdom itself, there's not going to be equality. Within Israel, there's not equality. So that's what we need to understand. And unfortunately, these people that rebelled, Korah, the rebellion of Korah, is the perfect example of what happens when you try to force equality in Yahuwah's kingdom. When you, out of your flesh, want to say, no, we should be equal. And you see this. What did they say to him in that chapter? Oh, everyone's set apart by Yahuwah, right? That's what they originally said to Aaron and them the first time they rebelled. Oh, all of us are set apart by Yahuwah. And what does Moshe say back to them? Yahuwah decides who's really of him and who's not. You don't get to decide. So again, our problem is that we like to be in charge of our own fate, rather than allow Yahuwah to be in charge and allow him to direct our paths. This is a fleshy thing. This is something that I would like everyone to take away from this study today so far, is we're seeing Yahuwah is showing that, listen, I have my order. And whether you like it or not, you got to respect who I put over you. Whether you like it or not, whether you like the person or not, doesn't matter. So this is just a lesson about the flesh, and about our flesh is going to make us rise up and want to hate our brother and sister, because either Yahuwah put them in a position that we don't think they're qualified for, or this or that. That's what was going on with Korah. They had envy of Aaron and of Moses, and we see that right in the chapter. Go ahead, Richie.
I thought it was crazy, though, that Yahuwah actually gave Korah what he wanted through his descendants. So Korah wanted the high priesthood. And later you see that, he gets killed off, but his descendants, Samuel, becomes basically the leader of Israel. Later on, you find out in 1 Chronicles chapter 6. So,
Yeah, I think that was the problem too, was they didn't want Aaron to be above them. And I think it was just, you see this constantly. The problem with Yashrael is they don't know how to subject themselves to one another. To, if I'm using the word correctly, remember how Paul in Ephesians talks about we need to submit ourselves to one another. That's not just about man and wife. Israel as a whole needs to learn to submit to one another. Okay. That's been the biggest problem with Yashrael. That from the beginning, we see here in number 16, like my mom just read from there, they don't want to submit to leadership. They think they know everything. We all have that problem. I'm not trying to point fingers. We all have that problem. Okay. We need to learn to submit. Okay. No problem, sis. But that's what I got out of number 16 is submission. Okay. We need to learn to respect Yahuwah's choice in leadership and learn to submit to his will. And sometimes it's hard because we think we know best. Sometimes that flesh rises up, that we even have a sinful thought like we would know better than the creator of heaven and earth. That's when we got to cast that thought down. We do not know better than him at all on any topic. So that's the one thing we got to be careful of, because Satan will use that. He'll use that pride. He'll be like, I see that pride rising up in them. Let me use that. We can easily give Satan a foothold with our pride. So we need to be careful and keep that in check. You know. But anyway, so we're gonna end this recording here, and then we're gonna do a new one. I think we have a couple of brothers and sisters that need to get back into the waiting room anyway. So we're gonna take a brief intermission, guys. We'll be back soon with Ayub, Job chapter 33 and 34. So please stay tuned, everyone. I hope you guys are enjoying this study so far. We'll be back